Good afternoon and good evening, because somewhere around the world, that's what fucking time it really is. That's what time it is around the world. Now, I was second on the internet to break the news of Tekashi69 being arrested. You got a whole bunch of other YouTubers up now making it seem like they know what's going on with the case and they know about federal this and federal that. And I believe I'm the only guy doing YouTube that actually beat the feds. So I'm going to tell everybody that's making videos about what's going to happen to just shut the fuck up, because you don't know what's going to happen. All right? Now, I'm going to get in here too, and I want to break some shit down. What's good, fam? Dog in the sweater. Shout out to you. Activist Granny. Shout out to you. We're going to get into the news like we usually do. But this is part of the news too. And this is part of the culture. And I think it's important that I get this out and I express this, because this shows something, especially the black and Hispanics. This shows something. This shows something. There's a method to my madness, and there's a reason why we're going to go through all of this. All right, we're not going to go through this whole indictment that I have, because I have the whole indictment. I don't see how it says no sound, or how he can say no sound. I don't know who Cindy Hansen is, but my mic is picking up just fine on my end. Anybody else have an issue with my sound? Let me know right now. Hey Walter, how's my mic sound? Activist, how my mic sound? Tell me how my mic sound. Give me a 1 if it sound good, and give me a 2 if you can't hear me. But I'm for sure the mic is like dead in my face. Like right now I'm touching it. This how I'm touching the mic. So I don't know how. I've been listening to people. I believe L said move the mic, and somebody else, 2 other people told me to move the mic. Yeah, so I sound good. I could have checked myself too. Hold on. L said move the mic, and somebody else. Yeah, it's good. So whoever said that, it might be your computer. You might want to turn that up, and then apologize to me for making me do all of this and checking my mic. All right, there's a method to my madness. So let's get into this indictment. There's an indictment there's a superseding indictment, meaning there was an original indictment. Whenever you hear superseding indictment, that means that there was an original indictment, and that indictment has been changed and altered and had things added to it. Now, yeah, I'm good. It was good. Shout out to you, my brother. My brother's in the building. That's the reason why I'm so happy that I am a retired gangster. I haven't sold drugs. I haven't sold crack cocaine since 2002. 2002. I haven't sold any drugs since 2002. To me, marijuana is not a drug. We're going to get into this. Because I have sold marijuana. I definitely sold marijuana. It's legal in California. It's legal in Colorado, where I'm currently at right now. And it's legal in New York. Like, you can have certain amounts of marijuana on you and not even be arrested for it. They have a dispensary there. So there are things in this indictment that I'm going to break down to you, that I'm going to tell you and I'm going to tell you what's happening with his case. Word of mother. Yeah, word of mother. Shit. Uber, if you ain't doing nothing, I'm about to, what's today? He probably at work right now. Yeah, he probably at work. So I was about to call him and make that nigga join the show. So let me get into this indictment. They be drawn, huh? Fucking love of a guy. Dog, I don't dick with 6ix9ine. That's kind of crazy. And I don't fuck with 6ix9ine either, bro. Like, let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to you, Adrian. Let me explain something to you, Adrian. I don't have to like someone to cover the news. The same way I used to love Jay-Z, but I currently can't stand him. I still expose Jay-Z. And if the government was doing something to Jay-Z that I knew was wrong, or even if I seen something Jay-Z did to destroy himself, I'm gonna break it down. Right now, what you're about to get is about to get a breakdown. a breakdown of how someone destroyed themselves and how the government allowed it to happen. And what you're doing right now is you're jumping while I'm trying to paint my picture, and you're telling me my lines are crooked, and I ain't even done with my fucking picture yet. So let me paint my picture, let me color my picture, and then you tell me how I rock with somebody, or if I rock with somebody or not, because you don't even know what it is I'm about to say or what it is I'm about to do. I just started the show. So give me a second, brother. I can go to Co-op City. I can go to Co-op City with no problem. So let me get into this though. Let me get into this because we got a show we got to do to let me get into this. And I already got Adrian. I already got Adrian jumping down my back, telling me I rock with somebody. He ain't even let me finish the show yet. Everybody antsy. Let me get in here and break this shit down. Shout out to Hip Hop Classics Daily because that's where I'm going to get this from right now. All right. But basically, he's going to try to read this off. I'm going to stop him because I don't really want to have him read it. He doesn't read it with any enthusiasm, and I don't mean enthusiasm as far as you gotta I don't mean enthusiastic as in being happy. I don't want you going to sleep while I read this indictment. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let you hear him read it, and I'm gonna read on top of him. And what I want to explain to you first is this: when you look at an indictment and you see that each count has been, when I looked at my indictment, they had 6 different counts, but each count was still specifically the same thing named. They might have named something different, but it's still pretty much the same thing. So in this indictment, what they're trying to say is that Non-Trey, the blood set Non-Trey is an organization. They ran it as an organization. They ran it as an organization with Mel Murder, with Shadi and Ish as the top, Tekashi and Kareem towards the bottom. Okay, how does Tekashi fall victim to this? Tekashi wasn't the blood to start with. Tekashi started to hang with Bloods after he was hanging with Crips, and he fell out with Crips. Through this whole indictment, and we're gonna get to this because I gotta explain and break this shit down to you. Because I'm gonna explain to you how the tools is given to you for you to destroy yourself, and how people sit back and watch you do it. And in the moment you realize you're destroying yourself and you want to change yourself, they will swoop in to remove you off these fucking streets. Hold on.
So I'm just gonna read through it. I might take a little pauses for a minute, take a drink, but let's get started on
now. The Enterprise. The Enterprise is Non-Trey gangsters. And in here, they tell you that they sold fentanyl and marijuana, but they don't give purported amounts. There is no purported amounts of marijuana sold or fentanyl sold, so there is no monetary gain for this enterprise. They may list these drugs inside this indictment, but there's no amount. There's no purported amount. And in order for the feds to charge you for these drugs, they have to have purported amounts so they can go to their little table and they can say this goes to that and this is how much it's supposed to get. Luckily, Tekashi69 has fucking gangsters and well, I'm gonna say retired gangsters who changed their lives, who sat down with Jared Kushner to have prison reform done, because now the federal sentencing guidelines is getting tossed out. They're getting tossed out. So they're going to have to show the amount of drugs that these people actually had in order for them to have those drugs on this indictment, because there's no purported amounts whatsoever. There's no 100 pounds of marijuana. There's no 500 milliliters of fentanyl. There's no a million pill form of fentanyl. There's none of these things to disclose to you the amount of drugs and the specific detail of destruction that the drugs would have caused had it been on the streets and left at a street level. They didn't have the street level marketing value of it. They didn't disclose any of these things to you because the only thing they're focused on is gangbanging. That's it. Gangbanging. That's it.
Shit. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy, Jones, Jordan, Butler, Hernandez, and Walter. And they're saying, at all times relevant to this indictment, Jamel Jones, Mel Murder, a.k.a. Mel Murder, Kefano Jordan, a.k.a. Shotty, Denzel Butler, a.k.a. Ish, Daniel Hernandez, a.k.a. Tekashi69, and Fahim Walter, a.k.a. Crippy. The defendants and others known and unknown were members and associates of the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods. Nine Trey, or the Enterprise, a criminal organization whose members and associates engaged in among.
And Adrian, I'm gonna tell you something, brother. I did 6 years in the feds after beating them on a life sentence. I don't wish prison on anybody, except for baby rapists, rapists who rape women, and men who beat women, who murder women, who beat children, murder children. Those people I don't believe should be in the streets. I believe people like 6ix9ine, although he may have been immature, he may have done some fuck shit, he may have said some fuck shit. All in all, when this whole shit started, when he came out, he wasn't picking on anybody, they was all picking on him. Let's not get this fucked up. All right? Everybody was picking on him. All right? So the atmosphere created by this whole shit is that the FBI
among other activities
that these kids was
gangbangers, robbery, and narcotics trafficking. Nine Trey operated in and around.
They said that they're talking about murder in this indictment. They said acts involving murder, robbery, and narcotics trafficking. Nine Trey operated in and around Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and so on and so forth. Do you know how many non-Trey blood members there are? As if these individuals named are responsible for all of them in New York City. This is preposterous. This whole indictment so far that I've seen myself is preposterous. And not in terms of these motherfuckers doing dumb shit in the street, because they did dumb shit in the street. If they're gonna catch you, they're gonna catch you. But it's preposterous, and the whole point is there's no meat on this bone. I hear robbery, but they only name one incident where that robbery occurred. I hear narcotics, but they don't name a purported amount of narcotics that was being sold. And I hear murder, but I don't hear of any victims whatsoever. No victims are named in this indictment. And in order for you to state these things, see other activities, Robin. So they're generalizing the blood set of non-Trey gangsters. This is what they're doing, and they're generalizing them and saying that this is what the organization does, and then they put in primary areas in New York City where they're supposed to be profound, and they're saying that in these areas is where they control it. But in all actuality, they're not saying that these individuals named in this indictment have been involved in acts of murder. They're just talking about non-Trey. It says non-Trey, including its leadership, its members, its membership and associates contributes, constitutes an enterprise. So who's the leadership? Who's the leadership of non-Trey? If the feds have all this information, why aren't these individuals locked up? And here they named 2 shootings. They said a robbery happened before a shooting even happened. So why, when the robbery happened, you didn't lock them up? Tekashi69 was picked up by the police officers. Police officers picked up Tekashi69 before they arrested him on Sunday. The FBI did. Told me it was a plot on his life. They had him. He refused to cooperate with them. He told them that they had to release him. So they released him. So then they superseded the indictment and they added his fucking name to it, people. That's why it's a superseding indictment. He wasn't added to the first one. He was not added to the first one. But because this kid doesn't want to give up his street cred, which he doesn't realize doesn't really fucking exist. Trust you me, it doesn't exist at all. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't cooperate either. Still to this day, I'm not going to cooperate because I already know what they're trying to do. So I wouldn't cooperate either. You understand? But because he didn't cooperate, they superseded an indictment, which was already typed up and ready, and they put the superseded indictment out. They got this little nigga in general population in MDC in Brooklyn. That's the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. And I doubt a whole week go by before somebody do something to him. They have him in general population, but they picked him up prior to even arresting him, telling him that blood members want to kill him and that there's an attempt on his life. This is what I'm trying to explain to you, people. This is what I'm trying to get down to. The FBI, the same people that's investigating our president, saw all of these felonious things happening, but they didn't intercede at any time. If they had the indictment, that means that they were surveilling them. They were surveilling them, trust you me. So when the robbery happened, they didn't lock up the person. Nope, that didn't happen. When they beat someone up for going against 6ix9ine, they didn't lock them up for gang violence then. No, they let that happen. Okay? When 6ix9ine was dragged out his house and thrown in a car and had the shit beat out of his little fucking ass and he was fucking robbed of all his fucking jewelry, the feds was watching. They was watching as he jumped out of a fucking moving car and ran and asked someone for fucking help. The feds know who did it. They didn't go get the individuals. They let that whole shit slide because they was hoping Tekashi would crash and burn. The moment this little nigga started to wake up, because he said it, I got an interview, I'm going to play it. The moment this little nigga started to wake up, the moment he fired all the people around him, and he said, let me get my shit together, let me start changing my life because this shit is serious. That's the moment they came in there and they locked his little ass up and reintroduced the superseding indictment. I guarantee you the first indictment did not have his name on it. Whenever you hear superseding, because I see everybody talking about this shit. I see a lot of people talking about this shit, but a lot of people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This is superseding indictment means the second indictment. It supersedes the original one. Information new is attached. This individual reading out this whole indictment is only rereading in every single part of this indictment.
Manhattan,
all of them all over. Everything that he's saying, he's going to reiterate it.
Its membership and associates constitute an enterprise as defined by the Title 18 United States.
What associates? It says the organization. So at some point, if you're not naming these guys as, listen, man, I was charged as a kingpin. Okay, 848. Leader and manager of the criminal enterprise. That was my charge. 113 11342-067. That's my federal number. I still remember it. 11342-067. It's my Fed number. Leader, manager, and organizer of the criminal activity. None of these guys here is leader, manager of a criminal of the criminal organization. I don't see anyone here on this indictment named as a leader or a manager on this criminal indictment.
That is a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing.
There's a head on this indictment, which is Jamel Jones, a.k.a. Mel Murder, meaning that him and Shotty was the original people that were being looked at.
Enterprise was engaged in.
Tekashi and Crippy were not even being looked at.
Interstate and foreign commerce. Jamil Jones, a.k.a. Mel Murder, Kifano Jordan, a.k.a. Shotty, a.k.a. Daniel Hernandez, a.k.a. Tekashi69, Fahim Walter, a.k.a. Crippy. The defendants participated in the operation and management of the enterprise and participated in unlawful and other activities in furtherance of the conduct of the enterprise's affairs. Members and associates of 9Trey engaged in a series of violent disputes with rivals of 9Trey, including those within 9Trey.
They said that they had. Hey, what's good, GG? They said that non-Trey. They said series of violent disputes with rival non-Trey, including within non-Trey, who they deemed disloyal. There's no one named as a victim in these indictments. They are generalizing the gang and holding Tekashi and all of his cohorts responsible for something that people who they don't even know are doing. They are telling you that this is an organization, but they're not giving you the head of this organization. Someone has to be giving them. Someone has to give them directives. No one is telling them to do anything. They're not naming anybody as the head of this indictment. There's a head of this indictment because that's the first person named. The first two people named were the first two people of interest.
Who they deemed disloyal to the enterprise. During these disputes, members and associates of Nine Trey committed multiple shootings, robberies, and assaults against their rivals and against fellow Nine Trey members. Members and associates of Nine Trey sold heroin, fentanyl, MDMA, dibutylone, and marijuana in and around Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx.
What members? Which one of these individuals named in this indictment was selling it? Which one of them in this indictment was the person that was supplying it to others to sell? I don't have the affidavit, the arresting affidavit, because the arresting affidavit would specifically say things in it that this indictment isn't saying, but the indictment in it is supposed to be telling you who's the leader, who was the funder, because the indictment is just vague. It's so vague on its face, it's unbelievable that they even did this indictment. I've never seen my indictment. I thought the feds fucked up on my shit, because they fucked up. They lied like a motherfucker. Every chance they got, this dude named Task Officer Coffee out of Wilkes-Barre, PA, is a liar. And everybody from Wilkes-Barre, PA know I'm not lying about Task Officer Coffee, who got bumped up. And all he's done is lie. He's been in court lying. All they do is fucking lie. They vaguely put things in here so it can make it seem as if they're the managers of this organization. When this organization started in 1993 in New York City. I love police officers. I tell you, my sister's a cop. But when a gang of officers decide to beat a man or kill a man or rob him, they're not federally enhanced as gang members. Now, the Bloods are not a police organization. Far from it. Far the fuck from it. But since when has it been an organization when you're calling yourself a Blood and Bloods fight Bloods? When is it an organization when there's different sects of this organization that don't even agree with each other? How are you organized? This is what I'm trying to get at. How can you consider them organized? You go to jail right now, and the Bloods don't go to war with Crips in jail. That don't happen like that. Bloods be fucking their Bloods because they don't want to follow through with getting stuff done or doing this or taking this order or following this order or so on and so forth. But there isn't much gang violence actually occurring. There's gang on gang violence occurring though. Same thing with the Mexicans. Same thing with the Crips. Same thing with the Latin Kings. Nietas, Norteños, the Paisans, the Aztecs. So I've been around all of them. I'm one of the very few blacks I've known in the federal penitentiary that actually shared a cell with the Mexican and got along with him. Swear to God. They don't even house them in the feds together. I was in Otisville. I believe it was FD was the unit we was in, and we was on the bottom tier together. The violence that happens between gangs, and it happens within the gangs. Nowhere near in this indictment do you hear Tekashi being named as the financier.
Attempted and threatened to commit.
See, this is where it gets sketchy. Because they hit him with a conspiracy charge, and that's the one thing that's going to be, I can't say that he can beat it. Because if it's known that there's a conversation that's been had, that he's in it, and he acknowledges the felonious shit that was occurring, and he knew that it was happening, The law states if you knew something illegal was happening and you didn't report it to the authorities, you can be held accountable for it. Especially when they can sit there and they can say, especially when they can sit there and say, get her, please. Especially when they can sit there and they can say, especially when they can sit there and they can say that, I don't know where the fuck my train of thought was. My cat just fucked me up. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. I just lost my train of thought. My cat, man. The feds have, when they have an obligation, whenever they produce an indictment, on that indictment, they have to say why you're indicted. They can't make it a general thing. Because if they can do this to them and just make it a general thing, they can pick up anybody who say that they're blood or a crip and then blame them for shit that other motherfuckers are doing that they don't even know. But if there's, like I was saying, if there's a conversation where this kid acknowledges any of the felonious shit that occurred, he's fucked on that conspiracy charge. He's fucked on that conspiracy charge. He's not going to be able to get off on that conspiracy charge. Now, this is celebrities' reaction to him being locked up. People that were supposed to be cool with him, people that just knew that he was out there dancing to his music, people that was just doing a dance to his song, Get Stupid. They was just doing a Get Stupid dance. I'm going to show you something. Free! 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 $50. 50 Cent. This is what he said. My son got picked up. I told him don't call me. Shit. The Fed's on you, fool. Call your mama. Don't put the FBI on my phone. Positive vibes only. $50 said in his song, if I get shot today, my phone will stop ringing again. These industry niggas ain't friends. They know how to pretend. If I get shot today, my phone will stop ringing again. These industry niggas ain't friends. They know how to pretend. He was all over his Instagram. He was calling him the King of New York. He was telling people that Tekashi was the King of New York. Started calling Tekashi his son. This is what you get. The sad thing is, these kids are celebrating it, and it could happen to them too. And he could be doing all of this, and then be in the same fucking unit as this kid right here. Heading uptown to Rio. That's what. Shout out to Casanova. This generation is so fucked up. I never seen so much people happy a nigga got locked up. Y'all niggas is different and y'all supposed to be street niggas. They not though, boy. I want my ops dead, not in jail. I wouldn't wish jail on my worst enemies because I know how it feels. I hate y'all niggas to death. I hate y'all niggas. Death to y'all. This is China. You know the girl who was on her Instagram doing the Get Stupid challenge, the Tekashi69 record? She typed, free, never mind. Never mind, dot, 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 dot. People in the comment laughing, keep them. Good for him. This why I love China. Look how people are celebrating. Love you, Chai Chai. All this is the left. Ain't no Republicans know who the fuck 6ix9ine is like that. And don't nobody really give a fuck. Y'all been going through this and tolerating this whole breakdown, trying to figure out what the fuck am I getting at. And that's why the fuck I'm here. And that's why the fuck I'm here. I'm here to show you something. I'm here to show you something even greater than what his whole case is about. I'm here to show you how the left has taught blacks, Hispanic, anybody on the left to love hate, to love the energy, to celebrate in it. This little nigga here is not a gangster. He was somebody who was trying to sell records. And he wasn't a shot caller. This nigga didn't run no streets. He wasn't the king of New York. He was somebody who was trying to sell records. Whether you like what he did or what he said, that's on you to take offense to it. Because as a grown-ass man, I don't take offense to things people say, especially when they're not directed towards me. When they're directed towards other people, I just find it as entertainment. I never took him serious or as a threat or as somebody who I thought could take somebody's life. Because to be honest with you, I didn't see that.
You don't think people be not for real?
Listen to Remy Ma.
Be honest, totally unbiased. Like he hasn't even been out like a year, maybe just made it to a year. Yeah, I don't feel like at some point, especially in the beginning, that people was just like picking on him. Like people were literally saying, like I felt before he got to the point that he's at now. There was a point where I was like, damn, why everybody got something to say to this little kid? Every time I turn around, like now.
Because when it started because he had rainbow hair. It started because his hair was rainbow colored. If his hair wasn't rainbow colored, nobody would be able to say he was a fake blood. Nobody would be able to attack him. When this all started, they said he was gay because he had rainbow hair. That's why this whole thing started. He wasn't dissing anybody. He wasn't being disrespectful to anybody. He was making music, and then people was calling him out. And then from that point on, he started to call other people out. And then that's when people stopped liking 6ix9ine. Let's be honest. If we're going to be honest, let's be honest. What has he done to you that's hurt you financially and stopped you from being able to feed yourself? Everybody that can sit there and say, fuck him. Yo, listen, we all make our own beds. He's going to have to answer for everything that he did. And we can't take that away from this situation. But what we're not looking at is that there were multiple felonies committed and no one interceded. There are over 4 felonies listed inside of this indictment of gang violence, 2 shootings, and drug dealing. This is what I'm saying. And when the first thing happened, no one interceded. When the second thing happened, no one interceded. They left these individuals, if they are such criminals, if they belong off the streets, why didn't you get them off the streets when the first thing happened? Why was there 2 shootings? I'm just trying to have you make some sense of some shit so you can understand what it is that I'm seeing. Why is it that all of these things got to happen? The 2 shootings didn't happen the same day. They happened months apart from each other. I don't take offense to what somebody's saying in their records or what they're saying to a bunch of people because I was in the entertainment business. And the reason why I didn't go hard, the reason why I wasn't in the studio every day, I'll call my DJ, he'll tell you the same thing, is because I was really in the streets. The artists that's in the studio and all of that are not in the streets. This little nigga's not in the streets. He was not in the streets. He was somebody who was paying niggas to take him around and everything else. He wasn't no shot caller. At the end of the day, fair is fair. I agree that anything that he's supposed to have happen to him should happen to him. But he shouldn't be targeted because the government decides that they don't like you. This is a superseding indictment. This indictment means it's the second from the first. The first was altered.
he's become like, I guess, the aggressor where he's saying the most stuff and he's doing the most. But there was a point where every time I turned around, somebody was saying something about this kid. So I'm not saying that he's innocent or whatever, but I do take into consideration being an artist and knowing how the entourage, like you see, this is typical new artist shit. The first time you see a new artist for the first year or two,
who should be held responsible for the entourage?
Let me tell you, for the first year or two, you always see a new
Listen
artist.
to Fat Joe.
The Bobby Shmurda, right? And Bobby Shmurda got Fat Joe'd. These people, these police, they try to set me up so many times, my nigga. They didn't like who I was, who I stood for. I wasn't this much of a nice guy or conscious when I first was out here acting crazy. They wanted to get me like him, but they got him. 1,000,000%. They are plotting on you, my nigga. You got a lot of energy.
Who is it?
Around you. So the question is,
who is that sort of to supersede the indictment? I bet you the prosecutor's a Democrat. Everybody involved in New York City are Democrats. You'll seldomly find the Republican may be, the judge may be a fucking conservative. Judge may be a conservative, but if that judge is of ethnic background, that judge is a Democrat. No one is asking the true questions, which is why did so many bad things continue to go on and no one stopped it? He was denied bail. He tried to give up his whole bank account, which was 1.7 million, and his passport in court. Why is it that CEOs from Enron who can destroy lives and have people committing suicide? Why is it people from Bear Aspirin that get to give people AIDS don't even see prison time? But this little motherfucker can't even make bail out of prison, and he has $1 million in his bank account. What I'm trying to show people is this. Now he's faced with a situation. This is now we have the fruit of the tree. Okay, y'all ready? He's facing a situation where his money doesn't matter. Nothing matters besides the initiative of sitting him behind bars. Imagine what happens when this government takes away your guns. When they can just start picking people off of the street and start charging you with being enemies of the state because Barack Obama signed into law. You can be killed anywhere in this world if they deem you a threat. Imagine being picked up and just whisked away to a prison and you don't even know where the fuck you are. This isn't becoming a government that we have control over. It's actually becoming a government that we've lost control of. There's no way in the world all of these felonious things were supposed to happen 3 times, 2 times. Because it's the position that when you see it happening once, you're supposed to stop it dead in its tracks. During the course of one investigation, could other things had taken place? Absolutely. But at some point, you would have had enough evidence on the first case that you would have apprehended these individuals on suspicion of this. And then as time would have went on, you could have just changed the indictment and superseded the indictment. Man, added anything new. Anything new you wanted. Remember I sat here and I told you there was a case where the dude was in a minivan and he got shot up and killed in his minivan, but he was under federal surveillance. The feds didn't even call him an ambulance. He died in an ambulance. The family sued the FBI. He won. The family won. Yeah, baby, get her the laser.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. One thing we've learned about mass immigration over the past couple of years...
Before we get to that, a scumbag judge that Barack Obama appointed blocked President Trump's border entry port.
For the administration, and a shot in the arm of the caravan. It is a huge setback for the administration, and a shot in the arm of the caravan, and it is likely to encourage more caravans, more Central American immigration. Now, the administration tried to funnel all illegal traffic, funnel it through here, the port of entry, and they would only process those asylum claims. But this judge, appointed by President Obama, said can't do it. You cannot limit or restrict where a migrant makes their claim. Judge Montaga, writing in his opinion, asylum seekers will be put at increased risk of violence and other harms at the border, and many will be deprived of meritorious asylum claims. Whatever the scope of the president's authority, he may not rewrite immigration laws that impose conditions Congress has expressly forbidden. So
now, how is this going to get appealed? How can this be appealed and beat in an appellate court? Because it's going to be appealed. It's going to go to an appellate court. This right here will have to go to an appellate court. Okay, this is Judge John Tiger, U.S. District Court, the Northern District of California. This is Northern California. You can argue that the judge's opinion is false because you're more likely to be safer in larger groups than to break up groups. By breaking up groups, you make people more susceptible to violence, to rape, murder, and to the drug cartels because there's less people to defend themselves. If you walk up on a group of fucking 1,000 people, you're less likely to try to snatch a woman from 1,000 people. But if you walk up on a group of 200 or 100 and 50 of them are women, and you have a group of guys, and this is your country, you can overtake the 50 guys. You can have a group of men. You can have firearms. You can overtake the 50 guys. You can kill them. You can take the women. So realistically, what he's saying isn't sound, and he's an Obama-appointed judge.
what does it mean? It means that any immigrant, including the thousands who are here, can claim asylum anywhere on the border. And there are thousands of places where there is no wall, no fence, and no wire. They will get apprehended and likely released, regardless how frivolous their claim is ultimately found to be. 90%, as we know, are ultimately rejected by a judge. Now, this happened late yesterday. Most migrants don't know it, but the open border activists who are assisting them, coaching them, they will obviously bring it to their attention. Now, already in Phoenix, the pipeline is full. ICE is using a church there to handle and place families that must be released because they lack the space to keep them.
Went from taking in 10 families to 20 to 30. The most we've had is 60. So that's about 2 to 3 people per family. We're talking about like 120 to maybe 150 people here.
Now, this also changes the math for those individuals who considered staying here in Mexico and working because they couldn't make it in the United States. Now, with this new ruling, they would be encouraged to go, let's say, east of here in the mountains and make a crossing there. And Bill, I'll tell you this is very frustrating to Border Patrol agents who want to apprehend people, but now people want to get apprehended. In fact, in August, there was 100 people who were apprehended just east of here, and they all had a virtually identical story, and most of them were released. Bill?
Wow. William Marginis, thank you. Tijuana, Mexico.
This is a huge...
Now you understand what's happening, people? Caravan is real. The shit is real.
Is that all good people support it. Immigration is the ultimate moral litmus test. When a caravan of poor migrants from the third world shows up uninvited on your doorstep, the decent among us step forward to welcome them in. That's commanded by the moral code of cable news, and more importantly, by the poem at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. Only bigots and haters slam the door. That's what they've been telling us in the media now for years. CNN's Jim Acosta has made that point repeatedly. Well, it has finally happened. The caravan has arrived. But here's the funny part. It didn't arrive in our country. It arrived in Mexico, in the border city of Tijuana, just across the fence from San Diego. The people of Tijuana are Mexican citizens, so by definition, they are good people, much better than you are. They're more welcoming and compassionate, less selfish and less American. They must be thrilled by the new arrivals. As immigrants, their new Honduran neighbors will grow their economy and add rich new diversity to their culture. That's what low-skilled immigrants always do. Again, a point that Jim Acosta frequently makes.
Whoever did this.
So are the people of Tijuana grateful for this caravan from Honduras? Fox's William Lajeunesse.
So what does this mean? It means that we have people working within our government for the shadow government to try to fuck up this country. That's what we get at. Motherfuckers can now come in and just be released. They could be a murderer in their country, people. Do you not understand the laws right now? They could be a serial killer in their country and then be released. Make sure that all the women you know are carrying firearms. Make sure every female that you know is carrying firearms. I don't want to talk about Georgia. This whole caravan shit showing you something, people. They do not want to protect you. The government doesn't want to protect you. As much as the president tries and tries and tries and tries and tries, you have people within this government that are well placed there. By these liberals so they can fuck us over. The judge makes the decision in the late of the night. Do you understand that? In the late of the night, in the very, very late of the night. He didn't do it in the morning. He didn't make his decision in the morning. And the simple thing he said was, by splitting them up, he believes, in his opinion, makes it a dangerous trip for them. I believe deciding to travel through 3 countries or 2 countries to get here is dangerous enough. And I also believe that, again, if you split people up and you lessen the groups, you make them more susceptible to being kidnapped, to being forced by drug cartels to become mules. Absolutely. Absolutely. They are purposely weakening our borders on purpose. And they're doing so because they seen that Mexico started to chant Donald Trump's name. So the only way they can make them stop doing it and stop him from growing and become even bigger and liked in Mexico, because it's fucking clear that he's liked in Mexico. It's fucking clear that he's liked in Mexico. So because the Mexicans was chanting his name, they needed to give them relief by saying, nah, fuck that, you got to open up the ports. But now that can be held because that can be appealed. So it doesn't make it happen now. It can still stop from happening. So as long as the government appeals this decision. Ruling won't stand while the appealing is going to happen. They have to appeal it. Laura Ingram said it on her show. She said it on her show yesterday. Let me see. She called them the United in Chief.
deal on the stove.
No,
I mean,
no. I personally cook the turkey every Thanksgiving. It is called
the worst tragedy that California's ever faced. The nuclear fire.
There's no politics being played here. The expectation going forward that the federal government's not just going to be here today with all of you, but tomorrow and over the course of the next few years as we rebuild.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Thank you, sir. You get it.
well, sure, the cynics are going to say this is all just a show because Brown and Newsom, they know they're going to need the federal government's help to recover from the worst fires in the state's history. But still, it was nice to see. In the last few weeks, notwithstanding some ill-advised tweets about Adam Schiff's name and retired Navy Admiral William McRaven, President Trump seems to be projecting a different dimension of himself. Understanding now that he has a Democrat House and he has to contend with that, might President Trump be trying a new approach to governance? Should he? Would this change minds or grow support for his economic agenda? It's clearly working. But beyond all of that, wouldn't it be good for the country? I get the sense, maybe you do too, that Americans have undoubtedly grown weary of how politics has infected so much of our daily lives. Not that it's not important. It obviously is, or I wouldn't be doing this every night. But it's not everything. And it shouldn't be a blood sport every single day. The president doesn't need to swing at every pitch, nor does he need to respond to every unfair criticism, no matter how vile it is. Not even when it comes from self-absorbed media figures. Now, this Thursday is supposed to be a time when we all gather around the table to give thanks. Not to get stuffing thrown at us by Cousin Helen or Uncle Joe, who's, in a white rage about the president's views on climate change or something. Well, maybe, just maybe, the president has decided to modestly recalibrate his approach to his job and find places where both parties can agree, even as the critics persist. Now, believe me, I'm not saying he should change his goals on core issues like through strength.
And your angle is, I thought assassins will
sing as
policy is what
left, saying that a black person comes from self-absorbed, more anxious voters going into 2020. A recent Morning Consult poll showed that 64% of voters believe the media have divided the country, while 56%, not an insignificant number, blame the president. Now, it's not surprising that nearly 2/3 of Americans blame the press, given how biased and how completely unbalanced most of them are, and they've been toward this president since the beginning.
I want to give a special round of applause to the country for showing that that as a whole, in spite of what it is that they're saying, because they let a lot of illegals vote on that shit too, so they don't count. So you got to really think the numbers are even higher than what they project. And I always say that shit. But let's give it because we not stupid. We not fucking stupid. There's no way in the world. We're not stupid. They think we are, we're not. And this is why they're afraid. This is why they're afraid. This is why they're afraid.
President Trump is ratcheting up his anti-immigration rhetoric, using the White House podium to stoke fear.
Look, I don't know whether the president's an anti-Semite or not. I get asked that question a lot. I think we all do. I also know that he has said things that are heard as dog whistles by anti-Semites.
He goes on television and pronounces himself a nationalist. Nationalist, that word has been used in many ways. It was used by the American Nazi Party.
Now, the vitriol from both the hard left and the media, and yeah, there's some overlap there, is spewed even as President Trump has attempted bipartisan outreach on issues such as immigration reform. Remember, the Democrats rejected it last February. Others might have responded to the political stonewalling by the Democrats with a to hell with the whole bipartisan thing, but not Trump. He's undeterred, trying to find common ground, announcing his support last week of an issue that Democrats once heartily clamored
Hey, Kareem, look at you, behind Donald Trump.
for. I'm talking about criminal justice reform.
Americans from across the political spectrum
can unite around prison reform legislation that will reduce crime while giving our fellow citizens a chance at redemption. So if something happens and they make a mistake, they get a second chance at life.
Now, this got about as much coverage as his visit to California this weekend. In other words, not that much. Not one Senate Democrat attended the White House announcement, which I found to be a disgrace. This political slight was not lost, by the way, on Senator Cory Booker's home paper. Today, the Star Ledger wrote the following: Booker, who's made a huge issue about justice reform, should have gone to the White House and showed bipartisanship. Democrats can engage with the White House and show independence at the same time. Well, apparently not. The left's new strategy is to completely deny that Trump has accomplished anything positive and to deny him any cooperation, even on issues where they agree. Now, how sick is that? Only a few fair-minded liberals like CNN's Van Jones, who worked with the White House, including Jared Kushner, on this bill, actually celebrated the accomplishment.
President Trump said, listen, if this is going to make streets safer, if it's going to give people a fairer chance, if some of these forgotten men and women, some of them are in Appalachia as well, let's do something. And so, listen, I think you got to give him some credit. When I'll give him a salute and an applause.
You know, I'll remix the shit out
And
of that,
for that
y'all.
statement of support, Jones was lacerated. Professor Crystal Marie Fleming tweeted, "Give the white supremacist misogynist his due," Van Jones says. Others were equally unhinged. Michael Harriot at the Root saying, "No, Van Jones, I do not have to give the racist in chief his due." So much for common cause. Now, by the way, for all you looking like to the Obama presidency through these rose-colored glasses today, this is what the country felt about the state of America 6 years into Obama's presidency. 55% said Obama had done more to divide than unite the country. Well, now this is something the president at the time said he had to admit when he gave his final State of the Union address.
It's one of the few regrets of my presidency that the rancor and suspicion between the parties has gotten worse instead of better.
Well, are things today worse? Maybe. And both folks from both parties, they can do better, including the president, including me, all of us, I guess. And we should celebrate, though, the president, because he's trying to reach across the aisle. Criminal justice reform is just one of the examples. And just because haters on the left are going to ridicule him or belittle the president's efforts is no reason for the president to back off. His trip to California, prison reform, his work to lift the standard of living of minority communities, it's all positive signs. There are those who will work overtime to deflect and demean any efforts by this president to broaden his appeal. And most importantly, to broaden the appeal of his policies that, again, are working. I say let the critics do what the critics are going to do. This will make them look petty and just pure partisan. Reagan appealed to women and minorities by smiling through the storm, always keeping the focus on the lives of everyday Americans. Trump calls them the forgotten people. Their families, their jobs, their neighborhoods, their faith. By taking the focus off himself and keeping it on the horizon of possibility, the president will unmask the real dividers and give voters more of what they're hungering for: unity through strength. And that's the angle. Here now, Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, Candace Owens, communications director.
Hold on, because you got to give my sister a motherfucking round of applause. Some people can say, oh, they love her, but that's my motherfucking sister from another mister. Yeah. That's my sister from, I should get her on the show, man. One day I'm going to see. I'm going to get Candace on the show. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get Candace on the show. Shout out to my sister from another mister. Love her to death, man.
For Turning Points USA, and Chris Hahn, former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer. Matt Schlapp, let's start with you. I think the president has shown, frankly, oftentimes enormous restraint, given how radical the left has become and how much they resist giving any credit or it is any pretense even of wanting to work with him on issues, even an issue as powerful as criminal justice reform.
No, that's right. And the American Conservative Union has been taking the lead on that important issue. I think it must be tough to be the president because when he turns on his television set at night, except for this show and a few other shows, and when he reads the paper in the morning, 90% of it is just an indictment and an attack on everything he is and everything he stands for. And I think you're right. I think he's got to take it all and understand that the American people love his agenda. They want him to push hard. And I think he would do the country a lot of good if his leadership could also include the fact, look, Nancy Pelosi or another Democrat most likely will be leading the Democrats in the House. They're going to be the majority party. Let's work on infrastructure. Let's work on China as a national security foe. And let's get criminal justice reform passed. I think it would show the country that on some matters, partisanship and what party you're in, it just isn't as important as getting something done for the country.
Chris, back in June, there was a piece I came across today when I was getting ready for the show from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. It was a column written by Lee Rodonis. Here is the title, Why Trump Can Never Unite the U.S. While the political divide between Republicans and Democrats has been growing for many years, Trump's entrance onto the political stage has raised the intensity of the division to a level that would have been impossible to predict just a few short years ago. Well, I got to say, we got Obamacare rammed through without a single Republican vote. I think the stimulus had like one vote. Seminal pieces of legislation had virtually no Republican support, totally upended a seventh of our economy. That was pretty divisive stuff from Obama, was it not, Chris?
I don't think so. I think most Americans now understand that was actually the right thing, which is why...
I don't think so. I think most Americans realize right now that we were sold the fuck out because none of them people that we bailed the fuck out gave back those fucking loans to the American people.
They sent Democrats to Congress this year. I think that the president should do more to reach across the aisle. I met the president before he was president. I found him very engaging and very charming. And I think that if he engaged more and didn't, like you say, swing at every pitch thrown at him, I think he could do better. And I think he would do better as president. I think he'd get more accomplished. I think this criminal justice reform measure that he passed, I will be one of the progressives that say that's a great thing. I think it's great for our country.
Chris,
I think it's great for a lot
the
of
Democrats?
people who have been thrown away.
Where were the Democrats? The fact that Cory Booker doesn't, Chris, I'm not, ranting at you here. It's just frustrating because I knew Cory Booker. Candace, when he was the third way kind of Democrat, to use the old Clinton L. Fromm formulation. He was a third way Democrat. He was interesting. He was innovative. He was moderate on a lot of issues. He could work with Republicans, Candace. He doesn't even show up for this. Couldn't be bothered. Candace.
I mean, that's what we're seeing. And look, I'm under the impression that I believe very much that Trump is a wartime president. He's like Winston Churchill. He's like Harry S. Truman. So people say, oh, he shouldn't attack. He shouldn't go on the offense so much. But he should, because he's exposing the people that have, in fact, been at the helm of all of this divisive rhetoric in this country. In many ways, I think that history will favor the president. They will show that the reason that he won is because he was serving a united message. This is a message that the politicians perhaps don't understand, that the swamp does not understand, that perhaps the Hollywood elitists do not understand, but the American people do. We understand exactly what he's doing, and that's why we support him, and that's why he is in the White House today.
Yeah,
Hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up. My sister just caught an ether on this motherfucking panel. Bring that shit back. God damn, sis. Why you had to do him like that, sis? You bring it back. Yeah. Damn, sis, why you doing like that? Get back. You don't know me like that. Get back. Damn, sis. And then she gave him the got you.
Well, my view on this is being tough. That's great. We all love a tough, strong president. But, you don't have to ridicule Adam Schiff's name. There's plenty about Adam Schiff you can take issue with substantively. And Matt, I'll go with you on this. That's the kind of thing where that's just an unforced error. There's no reason you have to do that. I'm not going to harp on it, but that's the kind of that detracts from all the progress, economic progress, and the stuff he's doing. That's good stuff. There's no reason for it. I know it's tempting. We all get in that mode. I mean, I've done it too, but I don't think he's not advancing his own cause into the areas of the country among women, among minorities, in my view on that. But, maybe people have a different view.
I think when it comes to the investigation of which has gone on for basically his entire presidency, I think the entire nation has had enough. I think it's interesting, Laura. Democrats didn't run 30-second ads on Russian collusion or Robert Mueller. We're all done with it. I think what you're saying in your opening, in your angle is, look, when the president is the commander in chief, when the president is our leader and he goes to California and consoles people who are having devastation, everyone in America is rooting him on. And when the president stands up for things like criminal justice reform, I think he's going to get more Americans to root him on. And I think there's only so much bandwidth people have on issues, and he ought to focus on the most important ones.
Chris.
So Laura, Democrats ran on healthcare. Republicans ran that Democrats are evil. I think Candace had it right. The president is a wartime president. We're at war in Afghanistan. He's not in a war with people of the opposing party. We might sometimes disagree. The election is over. Yeah. And it is time for us now to try to move the country forward and find common ground. Every good president that's faced a defeat like this president has in a midterm has moderated their positions, moved to the center, found common ground, and gotten reelected.
Obama
if he doesn't move to the center,
whoa. Obama lost 63 seats. How did he moderate his position? He ran against Mitt Romney, who wrote off half the country with the surreptitiously recorded, statement. I mean, I don't think Obama moderated at all. I don't see any example of how he moderated. I mean, I don't see that.
If he hadn't moderated, he wouldn't have gotten reelected.
I don't think so.
The president moderated. That's ridiculous. Tried to work Republicans.
Yeah, all right, Candace, last word. Let's go to Candace for last word. Candace, can this president unite? Go ahead.
I absolutely do believe that he can unite, and I believe that we are at war. The war is ideological. We're up against cultural Marxism in this country, and that is what the president is fighting day in and day out. And look, people like to say that we should not be, he should not be tweeting. Well, that's why he won. He won because he understands he's harnessing the power of social media in the same way that FDR harnessed the power of the radio, and in the same way that JF Kennedy harnessed the power of TV. So he understands what he's doing, and I think that that's the reason he's going to win again in 2020.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
Not at war with other Americans.
All right, well, I think you got to expand that base. Keep expanding.
See how Chris has to have the last word because he knows that it's over for that ass.
And focus on the American people. I think that's my old boss, and that's what he did, and I'm sticking to it. All right. While the president was touring the charred neighborhoods of California with two Democratic leaders, the far left was engaged in violent protests just north of him in Portland, Oregon. Now take a look at these shocking videos from just this past weekend.
Don't touch me. Stop touching me.
Get out of my walkway. I'm trying to walk.
Go ahead.
How about you get the out of here, Andy?
I won't be.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Why should I be ashamed of myself?
Because you're an Asian given into white supremacy, mother.
You're a little anti-Islamic fascist. Get the in your cage. I'm good, man. It's okay. Hey, let her do it. Hey.
The man who shot those wild scenes, Andy No, will join us next. Stay there.
Second Avenue are closed. Back in Chavez Square or any other place that is not closed.
Now, the man who shot those wild scenes, Andy No, joins us now to tell us what he saw. Andy, now these folks have began to target you for just filming this in Portland, where you had this Men Too protest and then some Antifa masked fools showed up. Tell us what happened.
Yes, so on Saturday, hundreds of people affiliated with Antifa and other far-left movements descended on downtown Portland to protest an event that was meant to bring attention to men who have been falsely accused of sex crimes. Now, for your viewers, you might be wondering why an event like that would garner such a vicious backlash in Portland. But to set the context, Portland is a progressive monoculture here, and the resistance is mainstream. The so-called resistance is mainstream. And so it's used as a rallying cry, and people actually think that they are in a cosmic battle with so-called fascists, hence they adopt the name Antifa. And
yeah, but Andy, they're the most fascistic. Andy, these people, yes. Andy, these are the most fascistic people out there because they don't tolerate any dissent. I think you're being there filming this. You're the resistance. I mean, you're resisting, as you called it, the monoculture in Portland, Oregon. And when they were descending upon you, did the police step in to kind of...
Why do they have something lynched? Am I wrong? Did I just see that?
As you called it, the monoculture in Portland, Oregon.
Why do they have a dummy lynched? Why does Antifa have a dummy lynched? Why is it a black dummy? Why?
And when they were descending upon you, did the police step in to kind of separate people? Were you there by yourself?
So Antifa has a lot of cheerleaders in the media. I'm thinking in broadcast media, they have Don Lemon at CNN. Here they have the local left-wing press. And because I've dedicated the past 2 years to shining a light on their ideologies and tactics, I've become persona non grata. So when they saw me, they encircled me. They tried to intimidate me. They pushed me around. And then when they saw that I wasn't having any of it, they eventually sprayed me and my camera equipment with silly string. And all the while, dozens and dozens of police officers were all around me an arm's length away, and they didn't do anything because there's a policy in place where they're not allowed to escalate the situation. And that type of policy is why last month you saw there was viral footage coming out of Portland of people commandeering our streets and assaulting people basically with impunity.
Of course they are. I mean, but what is it about Portland that is so wild now? I mean, it's a monolith. There's no real resistance except for a pocket of people. Why Portland?
Because it's important to say that it's an ideological monoculture. So a lot of the people here have really little to no experience interfacing with conservatives. So when they hear that somebody is putting on an event and that person happens to be pro-Donald Trump, in their eyes, in their ears, they're hearing that it's a fascist event.
Yeah, so
that's
Hitler,
why they come out with weapons, with bottles of urines, with sticks, with bear mace, ready to fight because they really think that they're in a cosmic battle on the streets.
No, because they're up against Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, the KKK, all wrapped into one. And one moment it's Trump, the next moment it's you for filming this, and it's craziness. It's got further into Donald Trump's arms. Joining us now is Dr. Carol Swain, is a former professor of political science at Vanderbilt University Law School.
Give her a big ass round of applause. This sister here has been red pilling people for the fucking longest. She's been red pilling people the longest about the Democratic Party. You've seen her working with Dinesh. She's a scholar. Beautiful sister.
And civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. Leo, let's start with you. Is this the direction that you want to see your party go?
I want to see it go like you've been trying to tell Mr. President Trump throughout your entire program. Trump plays identity politics. He has sent out coded message. The Democrats welcome his...
Trump plays identity politics. He sent out coded messages. My master said so.
Identity politics, and they're intersecting race, identity, and social issues, such as criminal justice. They're challenging whites to join up because Trump has alienated every base in this country. I've been watching your show. You see it, Laura. You've been trying to send Trump a message. He plays identity politics, and the Democrats are seizing on it. Final point, Orange County, also known as Reagan Country, is now all blue, Laura Ingram. Orange County, California, all blue. Ask yourself why.
I'm aware that it's turned all blue. There are a lot of reasons for that. Democrats also lost the South over a period of time. That had to be, slowly worked on by the Democrat Party. Politics is not a zero-sum game. It changes over time, Leo. You know that as well as I do. But Carol, you have been very vocal, especially on social media, discussing why you think African Americans need to maybe in some cases look a second time at Donald Trump because of what he's done just on the issue of the economy with black people and helping minorities have a better standard of living.
Look at this nigga now. Look at his face.
Well, yes, I am an enthusiastic supporter of President Trump, and we already see movements of blacks, especially black men, supporting the president. And as far as identity,
go ahead. Sorry.
As far as identity politics, the political left has been playing that for the last 2 decades on university campuses, and they've taken it now to the electorate. And I think that it polarizes, it's tribalism, and it doesn't serve the interests of Americans. And so it's not Donald Trump, it's the political left, and they're destroying America in the process.
Leo, why don't you respond to Carol? Hold on, why don't you respond to Carol? But she was referencing what's happening on college campuses.
Look, she didn't say one word, one single word when this man spoke. And he couldn't even give this woman the respect of letting her speak because she was speaking the truth.
Whether it's Berkeley, whether it's happening at some of the Ivy League schools, people are literally afraid to speak out. They're afraid. If you're a conservative and you're on a college campus, maybe you're a Christian conservative, you're some evangelical kid, you're afraid to say anything. You're afraid to speak. That can't be liberal, right?
Laura, I saw the same numbers that you saw at the midterm. White college students voted Democrat. White male with college degrees and females, they voted Democrat this year.
Because
Laura, you know
shamed.
the story.
Because they have been shamed and intimidated. They've been
when they go in that polling booth, shame on you. When they go in that polling booth, they're not shamed. You hear what she's saying? She's saying that white college people are being brainwashed on national TV. Laura, you don't believe that. You don't believe that, Laura.
Yeah, Leo, what did both Hillary Clinton and we have a segment coming up. We're going to talk about what Kristen Powers said about white women, that they're too stupid or too naive, and the fact that they voted for Trump, they must be racist. I mean, who's playing identity politics more than the left, saying that a black person can't support Trump, you're self-loathing, or a white woman can't support Trump, you're a racist, and you're saying Donald Trump's the problem? You gotta be kidding me.
What I'm saying to you, Laura Ingraham, is that white
you can just
white
call me Laura, by the way. There's no other Laura on set.
Laura, okay, Laura, pal, friend. White supported Trump in 2016, but in 2018 they left him. And for my opponent here, you're talking about blacks are moving towards Trump. When he does criminal justice reform, I'll vote Republican. Okay, when he actually talks. When he puts pen to paper, I'll vote for Trump.
He's already done more for blacks than President Obama and previous Democrats.
In 2018, President Trump won 3 out of 4 of the most politicized elections of 2018, and he wasn't even on the ballot. He just showed up, and he beat Oprah, Barack Obama, P. Diddy, Snoop Dogg, T.I., everybody on the left. That's a celebrity that was saying go vote. He beat every last one of them. Everybody. 3 out of 4 times.
And blacks are waking up. Blacks are waking up to the fact that the Democratic Party has used them as pawns. And Donald Trump is
that's a monolithic analogy.
Hey, guys,
when he gets criminal justice reform, I'm voting for Trump. Criminal justice reform,
Leo,
I'm voting for Trump.
Leo, let me just tell you.
Activists like you are just helping destroy America. White people have
civil
rights
that's
too.
talking point. That's typical talking point.
We have a constitution
Okay,
that protects
guys, one of
everyone.
you is going to have to stop talking for just a second.
I love Hush. Yeah, he's so mad. But he said he going to vote for Trump if he do prison reforms. I guess this house nigga is going to leave that plantation to go vote for Big Daddy Trump because prison reform is happening, bitch.
Let me just say, Leo, I'm going to take you out to dinner, okay? When you come to D.C., I'm taking you out to dinner. Carol's going to come. Carol, I'll fly you in. We're all going to have a meal together, okay? But Leo, you will vote for Trump because I'm telling you, he is going to get this criminal justice reform. I believe he's going to get it passed. And he's going to get some Democrat support. Watch. That means Leo's going to vote for Trump.
Program, Laura.
Make America great again, Leo. All right.
All right, good.
Guys, it's
Here we
great
go.
to have you both on. You're
Thank
both
you.
wonderful guests. And coming up, a special Monday night edition of Seen and Unseen with Raymond Arroyo. Up next. Don't go away.
Yo, man, I feel so good, people.
All right, it's time for a special Monday edition of Seen and Unseen, where we expose the big cultural stories of the day. Secretary Ben Carson's name may be coming off a school in Detroit. Hollywood's calling for a boycott of Georgia, and some new jeans could make Thanksgiving more pleasant. For all the details, we're joined by Raymond Arroyo, Fox News contributor, New York Times bestselling author of the Will Wilder series. Raymond, why is Detroit planning to remove Ben Carson's name from a local school? What?
Of all the people, nice Ben Carson, the neurosurgeon, now HUD secretary, the Detroit Education Board, Laura, voted 6-1 to remove his name from a school that it's been on since 2011, okay?
And fuck them, because that school is a failing school anyway.
It's the Ben Carson High School of Science and Medicine. You would think that would be okay. Well, they feel the people of Detroit are out of sync with the Trump administration, and therefore Ben Carson must go. Now, of all the cabinet members, who could be more mild and inspirational, frankly, than Ben Carson? Here's a little bit of his talk about the mind and the importance of initiative. Listen.
The human brain, if you have an average brain, you're capable of almost anything because of the complexity of our brains. Billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. With something like that sitting up here, why would you ever utter the words, I can't?
That's
now,
very
Ben
dangerous.
Carson is he's a Detroit native, Laura.
It's ridiculous.
A man who came up from poverty. He became head of pediatric neurology at Johns Hopkins. He separated Siamese twins. Why wouldn't you leave his name? But you know what it shows? Political assassins willing to take and strike people's memory, names, images because they disagree politically. The other day it was Robert E. Lee. Today, not even Ben Carson is safe. I don't like this idea of targeting political opponents this way, no matter who's in charge.
Ben Carson? First of all,
I mean,
we haven't seen much of Ben Carson. Like, I want to see more of Ben Carson. Where is he, by the way? I like him, but I don't see enough of him. All right, Raymond, shortly before Stacey Abrams' defeat in the Georgia governor's race, Frank Rich tweeted, quote, "If Kemp wins Georgia, Hollywood should put its money where its mouth is and pull all production out of the state." Now, I thought Frank Rich was such a great reviewer. I think he's such a great writer. But, this is so sad to me. Now, this is getting completely out of hand. What's going on?
Well, it started a bandwagon effect. Now, a lot of Hollywood stars, Alyssa Milano and others, Ron Perlman, they've jumped on the bandwagon. Alyssa Milano tweeted, there are 20 productions shooting in Georgia. Is the entertainment industry willing to support the economy of a totally corrupt state that suppresses democracy, where the winner isn't the best choice for the...
Notice that she's saying there are 20 productions shooting in Georgia. Georgia is predominantly what, people? Black. Who will be affected by this boycott? Black people working on sets. White people working on sets. People will be out of a job. People won't be able to feed their families. And they're trying to have this shit happen right before Christmas. Right before Thanksgiving. Right before you're supposed to sit down and be thankful for your family, for your loved ones, and for your country, and for your freedom, which is being stolen from you. Right when you're supposed to be either celebrating the birth of Christ, if you're a believer, or if not, and you just celebrate the holiday and you make it about giving towards your children and giving towards others, whatever reason it may be whatsoever, that you are in that holiday spirit. These people just want to fuck up your money. That's what they want to do. That's what it boils down to.
People, but the best schemer or crook. Now, I want to stop here for a second. Imagine if the people of the United States looked to California and said, this is a corrupt state. These people disagree with me. Therefore, we shouldn't help them in the wake of these fires. This is an outrage. You have to give diversity and allow states to vote their own way, vote their conscience, and elect their own representatives.
This whole show tonight.
You don't get to bully them.
We didn't even plan it this way, but the show is just revealing what the left is doing to shut down diversity of thought, and it has to be resisted if we're going to live in a free society. All right, Raymond, real quick, tell me about these new British. Can we call them dungarees? Is that allowed? Dungarees?
Well, they refer to the. This is a UK company called Shreddies, and they are releasing something called the flatulence filtering jeans. They actually have a charcoal light. They erase the aroma that comes when one passes gas. And according to this company, a healthy person passes gas 14 times a day during Thanksgiving. Demonic children's wear, I promise you. So,
all right, this is just
happy Thanksgiving.
I guess I'm healthy, huh, baby?
My kids can finally watch a segment on my show and laugh. All right, Raymond, happy Thanksgiving.
All right, everybody. Today was a good show. You know, I need you to understand that your freedom is being attacked indefinitely. There are people who do not want you to be free and trying to have you as such. Somebody said check CNN, right?
First today, the Trump administration complaining about another legal hurdle to the president's signature agenda item, immigration. In a joint statement, the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security taking issue with a Monday ruling by a federal judge who says the president's new directive to deny asylum for immigrants who cross the southern border illegally is unconstitutional. The judge, John Tiger, issued a restraining order, effectively pausing the policy, and said this in his ruling: whatever the scope of the president's authority, he may not rewrite the immigration laws to impose a condition that Congress has expressly forbidden. The legal setback comes at an interesting moment. Now that the election is over, gone are the constant warnings from the president about that migrant caravan winding through Mexico. But Customs and Border Protections officials yesterday did suspend northbound traffic at a key crossing point, adding control measures, funneling vehicles into fewer lanes. They said they did that because they had information some in the caravan planned to rush the border. Today, the Pentagon says its mission on the southern border has no specific timeline. Troops have already spent weeks there laying down barbed wire, among other things, but now defense officials telling CNN the president expected soon to grant troops stationed there some new authority, that being to protect government personnel from migrants if they engage in violence. With me this day to share their reporting and their insights, Aliana Johnson of Politico, Bloomberg, Sahil Kapoor, Olivier Knox with SiriusXM, and Sungmin Kim with The Washington Post. It's the judge in San Francisco. The administration has the right to appeal, which would go back to one of the president's favorite places, the Ninth Circuit. But this is another setback to the administration, which says we will use executive power to impose our will to change immigration policy, and a court saying can't do that.
We have repeatedly seen this throughout the Trump administration, particularly as it pertains to immigration. We've seen that the courts have been this kind of bulwark against these executive actions, whether it's this latest asylum directive, the multiple iterations of the travel ban, the last version of which did actually...
Yeah, I would kill every last one of them if I was sitting there at that table. It would just be no wins, man. No wins whatsoever. I don't think that there's much that they can actually say about this. You know, they're hiding the fact that Mexico was screaming Trump's name in the street saying that he was right, and they're trying to hide the fact that most people in this country agree with Trump. I didn't really want to give them a view.
Gracious to you.
Because it's kind of like, I like him or something. It's kind of like horrible to listen to. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay American, and remember you got to fight for your freedom. I'm going to see you guys later with a new show. And remember, fuck the other side, bitch, we don't care.